Hello and welcome. In this video, let's see how we can add an identity column on an existing table. So I have this table customers. I have created this table without any identity column. Let's see the data here. So I have around 20 rows here and I have this customer ID. Let's see how we can add an identity column in this table. Basically, there are three approaches. First one is simply add a new column in this table. You need to alter your table. Let's specify the table name. And then you need to let's add the new column with the name customer sequence. This is of integer type, and after specifying the data type, I can specify identity. Let's start from 10 and increment by 2. Let's execute this. Now let's check the data again. We have the identity column, right? Let's order it by customer sequence, and you can see we have these IDs here which are automatically generated by SQL Server and inserted into the customer sequence column. So this is one way, but the disadvantage of this approach is now our table structure has been altered. Now we have one additional column, customer sequence, and this can break any existing APIs or procedures that you are using on your table. Now let's see the second approach. How we can add an identity column without actually changing the structure of the table. We can drop this customer ID column and then re-add this with the same name, but that time we will add it using the identity. Let's see how that can be done. So let's drop the column first. So let's use alter table again. And we need to drop. What we need to drop? We need to drop a column. Which column I want to drop? I want to drop the customer ID. Okay, let's execute this. Command has been executed, and let's drop this customer sequence also because we don't want this also. Right, let's see the current table structure. Current table structure looks like this. There is no customer ID, there is no customer sequence. Now let's add our customer ID back to our table. So I will say alter table customers and add, instead of customer sequence, I will say customer ID, right? Let's add this column again and let's see the data again. You can check here. Now we have our customer ID again in our table, and we have some automatically generated IDs also in this. So this is second way. In this approach, we have not changed the number of columns in our table. We have kept the structure same as the old one, right? Only thing is we have moved the customer ID from first position to the last position. Now let's see the third approach, in which what we will do, we will keep our existing data also, because if you notice here, we have now randomly generated the customer IDs. We have lost the customer IDs that were already there. So let's see how we can keep our existing data also and keep the structure as it is. For that, we need to create a new table and move this data to that new table and then bring it back to our old table. Let's see how that can be done. First, let me recreate this table back so that we will have the customer ID at the first position. So let me drop this table. Now let's recreate this table. Let's insert the data which we were having earlier. Let's do select star from the table. We have this data now. Now let's see how we can add an identity column and without changing the structure and without losing the data. First, we need to create one more table with the same structure so that we can copy the data from this table to a backup table. So let's create one more table and let's call it customer backup. Let's create this table. Table has been created. Now let's move the data from customers table to customer backup table. For that, we need to say insert into customers backup. And what we are saying, select star from customer. So whatever data will come from this select statement will be automatically inserted to customers backup. So let's execute these two lines. The data has been moved to customers backup. It is not exactly moved, it has been copied to customers backup. Now we have data in customers table as well as we have data in our customers backup table. Now what we can do? Now we can drop this customers table. We don't need this because we have already copied the data to a backup. Now let's recreate the customers table, right? And I will specify the identity here and I'm giving it 1, 1. Let's create this table back. Now we have our customers table with identity column, but currently we don't have any data. Now let's see how we can copy data from backup table to our actual table. For that, we can use the same thing, insert into customers, and I need to say from which table I need to copy. I need to copy it from the customers backup table, right? If I execute this, I will get the error because if you remember, we cannot directly insert in identity column. First, we have to switch on the identity insert, supply the column list, and then only we can insert the data in an identity column. Let's first try this and see the error, right? We are getting the same error because the identity insert is not on and we have to specify the column list also. So let's do this thing and then try to insert. First, let's switch on the identity insert to on, and we need to specify the table on which table I need to do this. I want to do this on my dbo.customers table, right? Let's do this, and then I need to specify the column list. So let's get the column list by pressing Alt plus F1. I will get all the details about the table. I'll copy this list from here and I will supply with my table name within the brackets. I think we are good to go. Now let's try to copy the data again. Data has been copied. Now if I see my customers table again, now I have the customer ID, and this time customer ID is an identity column. You can verify that while going to the details again by pressing Alt plus F1. You can scroll down and you can see the identity column is customer ID. We're starting from 1 and we are incrementing by 1. After that is done, what you can do, you can first of all, you can switch off the identity insert because now we don't want to insert data manually in this table. I want SQL Server to generate the IDs and take care of the customer IDs. Let's switch it off, and then we can drop this customer backup table also because now we don't need this. We have already copied all the data from this table to our actual customer table. So let's drop this table as well. So this is done. So guys, this is how you can add an identity column in an existing table in SQL Server.